I've been working as a DSP for almost 2 years now, and there are things that I wish I knew starting out that I want to give to any new and future DSPs. And the first is that it's okay to ask a lot of questions. It's okay to be gracious with yourself in learning how to be the best DSP that you can be. Ask your questions of the things that you aren't confident on. That's how you build your confidence. And trust me, you're not being annoying. Because there are going to be things that you've never faced before that you need to know how to face. So the more questions you ask, the more prepared you are to handle those situations. Because every day is a new day and brings its own set of challenges. Communicate with your coworkers because not everyone has 100% to give every single day. So the better you communicate with your coworkers, the more prepared you are to work as a team. Because if I can fill in a gap for somebody and how we work together, I will do that. So one thing our agency likes to do is we all get together in the mornings just to discuss where we're at, especially if we're having outings. Because if you're leaving the facility, you need to know exactly what's going on and where everyone is to have the best outing that you can have. So if I'm at 30%, they need to know that. So maybe I'm the person that doesn't go on the outing and somebody else takes my place. It's all about working together to find those puzzle pieces in making the day run as smooth as possible. And talking to your coworkers and even your bosses is a big part. There are going to be days that don't run as smooth as possible. There are going to be days that you're having a hard time. There are going to be days that your consumers are having a hard time. But it's important to remember that you are there to be that calming voice. You are there to help guide them through, having a rough day. If they need time to themselves, you need to be able to recognize that and give them that space. If you're having a hard time, a big thing that I've learned is call someone to come to your room if you're working at a community day service program like me and say, I need to use the restroom. Take those 2-3 minutes to catch your breath and go back because, again, you're that calming voice and help guiding, especially if consumers aren't getting along and facilitating, well, tell me your side and let's hear yours. Let's work together to come to a solution so we can all have the best. It is okay to share personal details of your life, but just establish a boundary of what you feel is too personal. And of course, there are things that are inappropriate for a work setting, but they like to hear about what you're going to do this weekend, as long as it's appropriate. They like to know what's going on in parts of your life. And I like to hear about my consumers, their joys, their successes, just communicating with each other and learning, likes and dislikes and favorite types of music and favorite food. That's how it's the little touches that help develop a good rapport with your consumers. So don't be afraid to show a personal side of yourself to your consumers, but definitely have a clear boundary of what is too personal. And that boundary, of course, there are certain things that should never be talked about with consumers. But there are other things that can vary a little bit based on your consumers' needs that they may not want to hear or shouldn't hear. So just be a little flexible in just moving that line here and there. Also, don't be afraid to act silly and have fun with your consumers. One of the things that I like to do in music therapy is if it's a song I like to sing, I'm going to sing it. And I want them to feel comfortable singing the song with me. I want them to get up and dance if they feel like dancing. That's one of my biggest goals every day that I work in a room with consumers is making them feel comfortable to be themselves and have fun. Because having fun just helps the day move along. And if they're not having fun, I feel like I've kind of let them down because that is what we're here to do. Yes, there are skills that we can teach and there are topics that we can discuss, but I think fun is one of the biggest things that we need to interlace every single day and just being able to laugh and be silly. One thing to remember is you want to give your consumers a lot of choice. Give them choice in activity. Give them choice in outings. Every single day I come up with a couple different options of what we can do, but then I list those options and I say, what would you like to do? And then I hear from them of what they want to do. Because if you're doing activities that nobody wants to do, then you're really doing a disservice to your consumers that you're working with. Because you're there for them, they're not there for you. And finally, you're going to be a huge support system to the consumers that you serve. So I just like to let them, know that I'm there for them. And if they need to come to me for help, I am gladly there to help them. But it's important to let them know that you're there to help them and make them feel comfortable enough to come to you for help.